Hi, I'm Leezá Steindorf. I'm an international coach, a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, and I've helped thousands of leaders and learners find ease and unlock power they didn't even know they had. And today I want to talk to you about something that we all chase and yet almost no one finds, and there's a reason for that, and that's balance. Because if you've ever tried to hold all those plates that are spinning, like your work, your family, health, your goals, children, hobbies, and it still feels like you can't get it all flowing together, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not doing it wrong. So the problem isn't you. The problem is actually what you've been told to aim for. So I'd like to talk about what I mean with that. Let's talk about the myth of balance and what it is that you can reach for instead. All right, start with clarity. So naming what's actually really happening instead, right? So here's what most people get wrong about balance. We treat it like it's fixed equation. If you remember, they used to have these scales where it would have a bar and two plates on it, and they'd move a weight back and forth. And whatever you put on the scales would go like this until they could move that weight to such a place that they came into balance. And then they didn't move. It was totally static. And that's the idea we have often about balance, is that it's this fixed state. That on one side we have work, and on the other side we have our private life. And if we just adjust those weights perfectly, then we'll feel calm and happy and successful. But life doesn't work like that, right? It moves. We have different seasons, the sun rises and sets, time moves on, priorities evolve, like things change. Life is dynamic. So when you aim for balance, you're actually trying to make something that is dynamic stand still. It's like asking the river to freeze so you could build the bridge across it, right? So it's not any wonder that feeling or that experience of trying to balance things keeps slipping through your fingers. Like you just feel like you never quite get there. There's a reason for that, right? Balance assumes equal hours, equal energy, equal attention, equal quantity, and that's just not life, right? But alignment asks for something different. It's actually asking you what matters most right now. It's a very present experience and it's internally oriented. So let's talk about that. Because when you're clear on that, when you are clear that what's calling to you and what's important in this moment, then you stop apologizing for not being everything to everyone, for not doing everything all the time. And you can start focusing on what's essential right now and not what's expected. So here's a simple reflection that you can try. Take one slow breath and ask yourself, what truly calls to me today? Ask yourself that. Not what should need you, not what everyone else says should come first, but what generally moves your mission forward, what restores your energies and brings you back to yourself. Because balance kind of juggles things and it's all over the place. But that alignment, that clarity is a choice you're choosing. It's a very different place and it's much more powerful. And that's the first step toward relief and toward finding that sense of ease and power in your life. It's clarity of what's calling. Okay, let's talk about ownership. And this is the internal shift. So once you understand that the problem isn't imbalance, but it's misalignment, this is where ownership begins, because ownership is not about control at all. It's about authorship. It's about being in charge of your experience, of your intention, and of your choices. You get to write the story of how you spend your time. You get to make your choices of where your energy goes and where you put your attention, right? So if you think of leaders or heads of households, they always have demands on them constantly. Decisions to be made, finances to be taken care of, actions to be taken. And it's hard to just do what you want to do, right? So people say, how can I just choose? I have all these demands. Understandable. But it's the stance, it's where you stand within yourself when those things are coming at you. It's the driving force, if you will, of your actions, especially when you're in a leading position. But not only when you're in a leading position, when you're just living your life, you get to choose. And owning that authority for yourself is vital to alignment. So most of us are living actually inside of someone else's definition of what enough is. Enough productivity, enough income, enough friends, enough rest, family time, enough ambition, always enough in somebody else's standards. When you use your own measure for your life, it's very different, right? When you're using somebody else's measure, you're always going to come up short because their expectations or you are not your own. So you're never going to meet what they expect of you. But taking ownership for yourself and setting your own standards of what you're living according to, right? Then you can know at the end of the day, I didn't fail because I didn't do it all. You can know that you actually succeeded because you did what really mattered to you. That's a very different way of living than trying to accomplish everything. It's being intentional about how you walk through the world. So ownership asks you to let go of guilt as your operating system. There's a big one. We'll do another talk on that one day about guilt, right? But let go of guilt and stop feeling like you have to earn your rest or earn the right to make your own choices. Those aren't rewards, right? You can start by honoring your own rhythm and the choices that you want to make in your life. So think about this, right? Every cycle of the sun has 24 hours the way we've cut up time. Is it possible for you to have done more during your day to day? Most people say, absolutely, I could have done this and I could have done that. You could not have done more because you had the same amount of time, but you could have done differently. And that's where your choice comes in, is in your ownership of using, enjoying the time that you're given in a way that serves you and serves what your values are, and leading from that place or living from that place. So here's a micro practice that you can try right now. If you think of one commitment this week that's upcoming or one that's regular in your life, one that drains you every time you say yes to it, it's like, oh, there's that again, right? And you feel just energy goes out. This week, just once before you agree to it, just pause. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to do anything differently except pause and ask yourself, is this truly mine to do? Or am I doing it to appease someone? Am I doing it because I feel I have to? Am I doing it to appear balanced? Just take a pause. Because that pause is actually where your power lies. That's where your choice is. So ownership is the bridge between awareness and your action. It's not about perfect scheduling. It's not about doing it all right. It's about becoming conscious of our choices. And when you take ownership of your bandwidth, and every day that changes too, right? You take ownership of your bandwidth, of your needs, your desires, your abilities, of what you say yes to, of what you say no to, then you stop really performing and trying to do it all right, and you start really living. Okay, let's talk about resolution, and we're going to try some practical tools out here. So resolution, the way I speak about it, is when we bring things that are not aligned into alignment. When things are out of sync, we bring them together into a harmonious functioning, if you will. So resolution is where understanding becomes movement. It's where you can actually translate this idea that balance is a myth into daily behaviors, into new ways of being. So here are 4 simple, I'm going to say tangible shifts that can help you do that. The first one is to trade out words. Trade should for want. So every time you catch yourself saying, oh, I should, just stop right there. Don't even go any further. Pause and ask, do I actually want this right now? Whether it's to do something, have something, see something, think something, give yourself that pause for choice. And you will be shocked at how many shoulds you have every day, and also how they will evaporate once you recognize that actually, I don't want to do that, or I don't feel called to do that, or that's not mine to do. and you're once what's calling to you, what aligns with your needs and your values in any moment, that's what feeds your soul. And that's what keeps your heart and your mind and your body healthy, is living from a place that aligns with who you are. Okay, second practice is single pointed focus, right? So you've heard the term multitasking. Everybody talks about multitasking, and I can do it very fast. I can do many things at one time. Well, here's actually the thing. It's a fallacy. Our brains are binary. They're on or they're off. They're here, they're there, they're one or they're two. Now, what we can do, the human mind is really amazing, is it can toggle really fast between things, but it's never in two places at the same time. And that's important because that toggling is actually spreading your attention out. You call it multitasking, but it's actually the opposite of alignment. So when you're doing one thing, just do one thing. When you're eating, eat. When you're working, work. When you're resting, rest. Presence brings a sense of alignment and proportion to it. Okay, that's the second one. Third one is build intentional imbalance. Okay, this one usually surprises people because instead of striving for perfect distribution of everything, lean into what life's calling you to do the most, right? Every day is different, every moment is different. If again, going back to the scale, right? And how it's going back and forth, it's never at that static place. Sometimes it's a little more here, sometimes it's a little more there. So we oscillate around that center point. And the closer we get to the center, the more we feel at ease. But sometimes we're off on one side, right? Sometimes our family demands more of us, or our profession has a deeper push at some point in time. That's not imbalance. That's just life's intelligence, right? We're called in different things. We don't want to stay in one place the whole time. Again, that's just like the status in the middle. It's not what we want to seek. All right. So now let's talk about how to protect your recovery. So what I mean by that is I work with a lot of leaders, and I've recognized they don't only manage products. What they do a lot of the time is they manage energy, their own energy mostly. They actually schedule into their calendars time to recuperate. So I'm going to invite you to do that you protect that time to recover fiercely. And you put it in your calendar just as strategically as you do meetings or dentist appointments. So that, see, if you burn out, you lose the energy and you lose the clarity that actually you need to make decisions, that you need to take action in a powerful and a purposeful way in your life. So if you want to feel steady, don't build a balanced calendar. Build a resilient nervous system, one that really has had time to recover and then exert itself and then relax and then come back again. That's resilience, right? Other videos I have speak of that as well, about our nervous system and how we can replenish it and how we can build it resiliently. So here's a micro practice for that too. Slow down your exhale. Right now, you can inhale to a count of 4 and then exhale to a count of 6. Inhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And do that 3 times, that your exhale is longer than your inhale. And notice what happens. That single act will regulate your physiology. It grounds your focus and it anchors your presence. And that's resolution in real time. And that's how you can build resiliency into your day. Okay, let's talk about excellence. And excellence is not about being perfect. It's not about being polished and getting it all right at all. All right, so we're going to reframe it. It's about anchoring yourself in your highest and truest self. It is not the peak of balance and getting it all perfect. It's the art of knowing and living from your own rhythm, your own energies, your own best self. So when you stop chasing a fantasy of equal distribution of everything and you start honoring your natural cadence, your way of being in the world, leaning into this and then leaning into that, the kind of dance then life starts to flow. And some days are for deep focus, and some are for rest, and some are for dreaming, and others are for doing nothing, and some have a whole mixed bag of it, right? So balance tries to flatten everything into the sameness, right? As we've said. Excellence really honors all the variety, all the seasons, your cycles, your humanity, emotions, physicality, all of it. And it calls you to be the best that you are so that you can dance those dynamics of your life and your work. That's excellence. If you think about music, it's a good example, right? Think about, I don't know, one of your favorite songs. If it were perfectly balanced, as we've been talking about, right? Every instrument would play at the same volume, at the same pace, all the time. And it would be horrible. It would just be terrible, right? It's the movement, it's the contrast and the fast and the slow and the rise and the fall. That's what creates the energy and the beauty and the interest, right? The experience that is so mesmerizing with music. And that's your life. That's a literal translation of how your life works. And so excellence is actually finding courage to dance that dance or play that music at your pace, right? That your life flows how soft or loud you want it to, how fast or slow, in a way that feels right and good to you. That you determine internally what that rhythm is and that you live in sync with what's true for you, not what's symmetrical according to some external standard. Okay, so here's the reframe: you don't need to find balance, you are invited to cultivate alignment, and it's a choice. So, alignment is when all parts of your life contribute to the whole, even if they're not in equal measure, but they're integrated and they're in sync and it's dynamic, it's alive and real. And when you start living from that rhythm, everything changes. You stop chasing perfection and trying to do it all right and get it all on that equal level. And you start living from ease and peace and well-being and power. Okay? So if this conversation resonated with you, take a minute, breathe it in. Breathe in the flow and the dynamic of your life. And what would shift if you stopped chasing balance and you started creating alignment? If you gave yourself full permission to flow, dance, play the music, pick your analogy, instead of performing stability. Yeah? And drop a comment below. Share what's one area of your life that's ready to move from that balance, that status, to alignment, or what's called to you from this video. And if you like it, please go ahead and click subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who needs a reminder today. Because the more that we live in rhythm, the more that the world around us also starts to flow. Thanks. Be well.